Win all in, play my cards right. Up the ante, won blackjack all night. Roll the dice, let it ride. Water the odds, I got snake eyes.
Whether it's the coronavirus, 9/11, 1987, I mean, you name it, there's always going to be obstacles. It could be a small obstacle. It could be your kid sick. But specifically with what we're dealing with right now, I mean, I think the world's shut down in some aspects. Something that's out of our control, an obstacle has come and has hit everybody. It's in everybody's way. And it's an exciting time to chat with you, but it's a very tough time and we don't want to downplay it. But I think we both realize there's incredible opportunity that exists right now. The first question I have for you is, what are you talking to your team about at this moment?
I'm talking to everyone, both personally, my team being my family and relatives, as well as my businesses, about culture or values and cash. So those are the two things that I feel are the true currencies of the universe. You know, one is values, faith. Those are the true currency of the universe. And then cash, money, is an object of energy that we put in the floor to do what we want. So how do we stabilize our values and stabilize our cash? And then what opportunities exist according or aligned with our values and, of course, monetarily with cash as well. And those both can be two tangential journeys through a time of uncertainty of what I call reengineering and repurposing. The universe has a great way of pressing the pause button. So what the universe is doing right now is nothing's disappearing from us. Nothing's being taken from us. It's just slowing it down, right? Money's not going to disappear. It's just slowing it down. Our families aren't going to disappear. We're just slowing it down so we can now have a new perspective, an innovative, creative, inspirational perspective to appreciate, add value to what we currently have. And I think, you know, what I've been teaching value-wise over, especially the last 3 years on social media, is applicable today more than ever, of understanding and taking inventory on those personal values, experiential values, giving values, and receiving values, and how those values apply directly to the second currency of money.
There's a fight or flight mentality that I think a lot of people have. It's common, right? Someone punches you in the face, you want to punch them right back. And there's a moment, I think, that someone has to pause and perhaps reflect on where they are, think about what they're doing. You clearly are a thinker. You've thought through this. So when this obstacle comes at you and comes at your family and your team and anybody that you're talking to, which is a lot of people, you've already thought through this. Maybe the situation could be a surprise, but the fact that an obstacle presented itself is not a surprise, actually. And the fight or flight mentality, you don't necessarily have that, but I'm sure you're dealing with people that could have that and that aren't necessarily ready to take it on like you might be ready to take it on, which is an amazing thing that you're in their life. And you could be in their life in many ways through content or through a personal relationship they might have with you or talking to us on this podcast, which we're grateful for. But speak to us a little bit about that for someone who maybe doesn't have the background, the psychology to think through things like you might be able to.
Well, it's really interesting that you say that because, you know, I have lived through 93, 97, 2001, 2008 as a professional and as an adult. And through the lessons that I've learned from living in ego-based consciousness or fear consciousness, as you stated, that flight or fear or fear or the other F word, what we want to do is practice and start, if you're at the very beginning of your journey, start practicing ending fear. And when I say that, the first practice that I've learned over these years and why I'm more prepared than I was the last time that this occurred 13 years ago is that I practice, one, identifying when I'm in the ego-based consciousness, identifying the need to be right, the need to be separate, the need to be inferior, the need to be superior, the need to be offended, resentful, scared, angry, anxious, guilty, frustrated. And so I started to identify the things that were causing me to accelerate in the wrong direction, in the wrong trajectory, away from what I wanted. And so the first key was, do I have the cognitive ability and the patience to, number one, identify that? And then two, what practices could I put into place that would allow me to stop when I identified I was in the ego-based or accelerated trajectory in the wrong direction? And so that's where, for me, after I learned to identify, that I learned to stop via breathing and thinking. Breathing deep through my nose, straightening my spine, out through my mouth, and asking myself one simple question: why do I feel this way? And then I started asking also for other people in instituting forgiveness, why does that person feel that way? And then seek understanding, seek an acceleration in the growth and awareness that I never had before, either for my own feelings or for other people's feelings of why they feel that way. And then when I can identify why I feel that way, I then can drop my blood pressure, and think about things in the truth of consciousness and roll in the right trajectory through gratitude of the lesson that's learned, the light that was found, the love that I share, forgiveness for me not knowing or the other person not knowing, accountability, which says, what did I do to attract this to myself and what am I supposed to learn from it? And in the end, clearing the connection to the powerful source that we're connected to at all times, that I'm reducing the interference or corrosion between me and that which I'm connected to, as well as allowing that inspiration to come through me with appreciation, which is the additive of value, through me for others with no interference or corrosion. And that cycle, that flow, is one which is most necessary for today in this opportunity to pause, to learn, to identify what causes us to be in ego-based consciousness, to ask ourselves why, to stop, drop, and roll, and to reduce the corrosion and interference. So not only are we more inspired, but we can reduce the corrosion and interference. Because what happens is people are like lemons. You squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out because that's what's in them. When we're in ego-based consciousness and we get squeezed, we're projecting and attacking and projecting those insecurities of fear, anxiety, and then it just keeps accelerating and exponentially growing in the wrong direction. We have an opportunity to stop, drop, and roll and put things back on the track instead of accelerating fear, anxiety, guilt, defense, resentment, etc.
The experiences that you mentioned at the beginning of that's what took you down this path to allow you to share these stories today. It wasn't always this way. And I think it gives hope to so many people that can take in what you're saying in all the different mediums that they can find you. And it's inspiring to someone like myself to listen to you because of the experiences that you've been through. We've all been through some experiences and they're all different, but they're very important. And that's why you are where you are today. And we can learn from that. In case you haven't noticed, we love podcasts. In fact, we love building podcasts, everything from development to production. Because of all that, we're building a one-of-a-kind podcast network. If you have a podcast or looking to launch a new podcast, then we should talk. You can message me on Twitter at Eric_Kaz or hit us up any way that works for you. Let's talk about your podcast joining this one-of-a-kind podcast network.